What is up, everybody? My name is Nick, joined again by my co-host, Matt. It's Saturday. It's for better or worse, and it is football time. Thanks again for joining us. Matt, how was yesterday?
You're right. It's Saturday because I'm sad. The Mets got absolutely destroyed. Big slap in the face. All comes down to tonight. Hopefully, we got DeGrom on the mound to even up the series. But yeah. Besides that, I golfed in the morning. That was fun. But nighttime got a big slap in the face. So here we are. Here we are. How was yesterday for you, big boy?
1-1, but down a unit because I watched the Colorado State game back. Should have never done that. Holy fuck. How did they lose? It was so bad. So bad.
You bet on bad teams, I guess. That's what happens.
Well, that's the semi-fun of it. But yeah, 2 defensive I got to account for defensive touchdowns. I keep forgetting to do that in my calculations. 14 points out of the 17 from defensive touchdowns. Yikes. If you haven't watched the highlights, don't do it. Just don't do it. It's disgusting. And especially the second defensive touchdown, he literally lateraled it to his quarterback when he's going down. And the defensive player just like, okay, pick it up. Thank you. Runs it like 2 yards for a touchdown. This is disgusting. It's disgusting.
Well, it's a new day. It's a new day.
Oh, yeah.
You got a ton of plays. Why don't you talk about a couple of them? We got some people here, 45 people. Guys, if you're in here, please like, comment, make sure you're subscribed, and just please help us out. We want to get as many people here as possible. You know, we do all this for free for you guys. You know, Nick that puts a lot of work in. You know, we want some viewers on here. So tell your grandma, tell your friends, tell your pet lizard you got at home, whatever you're doing. I don't know. But let's get some more people in here on this beautiful Saturday. Nick, go through some plays. You want to start us off with that first one?
Yeah, definitely. So Wake Forest minus 60.5. We all saw what Wake Forest could do last week. Going against Army. I mean, my other play, and it's my podcast exclusive play that Matt doesn't even know about.
Woo!
Wake Forest team total over 41.5. This Army defense is awful, and their offense is the same. It's really bad team. Wake Forest is at home, should be able to just absolutely dominate, put up a crap load of points like they always do. I mean, they put up a shitload of points every game because this offense we saw last week, they do. It's amazing what they do because they basically hand off to the running back, the quarterback does, and just slow play it like crazy. So they basically either draw the linebackers in and then pass right over top, or the linebackers fall back and then they just hand it off. But he just sits there. He can sit there for 2, 3, 4 seconds with the ball just sitting in the running back's belly, ready to go. It's awesome how they play that offense throughout. Like I said, this should be an absolute
Forest. You know? Woke Forest, you know.
Okay. This Army team just lost to Georgia State, who we all know. They're 1-3 overall. They give up a bunch of points. I can go through some of these games. Coastal scored 38 on them. UTSA scored 41. Villanova scored 10. Villanova's awful, and Georgia State scored 31. It's all. I mean, it's just 2 teams going in opposite directions. At Wake Forest, Wake Forest has a perfect offense to play the Knights, and the Knights have the worst matchup possible. So that's the gist of it.
Boom.
Let's sweep. It's always nice. I tried to find dogs this week, and I was like going out of my way to consider dogs. And what I look for in these small dogs really is can they win the game?
Shed or not? Oh, sorry. Football. Gotcha.
Can they win the game? And I picked on a lot of just bad teams this week. I like to target bad teams. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You saw last night. Last time I'm going to bring that up. My gosh, it hurt me when I said that. Let's go to the next play. This play worries me. I'm going to put it out right now. This play worries me. It's my least favorite play of the day. Iowa State has a great run defense. Kansas State has a great run offense. Adrian Martinez is probably going to have to pass a little bit, which is always scary. But I really like this Kansas State team. They're explosive. They just seem like they can't really be stopped. Obviously, they have, multiple times. But really, when I watched them a number of different times, but that Missouri game in particular, they just look so good in this offense. And he's the perfect quarterback to run it. Mobiles can be basically a running back that can throw a little bit. Much better than he was at Nebraska. And I'm starting to think it was more Nebraska than it was Adrian Martinez at this point, to be absolutely honest. Hold on, I'm just pulling up one couple things. Boom, boom, boom. So obviously Kansas State's 4-1, Iowa State's 3-2. Kansas State, his only loss was to Tulane. And honestly, it's to Tulane. Other than that game, they scored 10 points. Other than that, they've the least they've scored is 34 points, and that's versus South Dakota. They put up 41 versus Oklahoma, 37 versus Texas Tech, 40 versus Missouri. Iowa State is at home, but I do like it's going to be a close game. I just prefer the better offense to the better defense in this matchup. I don't like Iowa State's offense at all. I know they're balanced. You got to go to running attack. This game does worry me, like I said, and it's last on my priority of plays as far as, what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Consider taking it off the board, but I just really like the direction of this Kansas State team, what they're doing on offense and defense. And I think it's a good matchup to kind of prove themselves at Iowa State versus a good Iowa State team. That Iowa State team, what do they do well, especially defensively, is stop the ball. So on the ground. Not exactly the best matchup, and that's why it scares me a little bit, especially because that loss to Tulane. But obviously they bounce back. They put up 41 versus Oklahoma, which doesn't seem that impressive after TCU did it, 55 burger. But again, they show up. Hopefully, it was just a lapse in play, and they didn't show up in that Tulane game, and that was just a one-time thing. And hopefully they're not looking ahead to like TCU, Oklahoma State. Their schedule coming up isn't that easy. It doesn't get easy. So, number one, Iowa State is a good team. Then they play TCU, who's 17th ranked. Obviously, you just saw them. They're playing Kansas today, which we'll talk about that briefly. Then they play Oklahoma State, Texas, Baylor, West Virginia, and then Kansas. I mean, we're getting into the meat and potatoes of their schedule. So again, Kansas State -1.5. We'll just end it that way. Why don't you pop up another one? Big boy. Boom. We all saw this team last week. They look good. Strong running game. Chris Rodriguez is back. That was the big piece there. That defense is great, which I always like playing behind a good defense, even though I just bet against a good defense, but nonetheless, don't think about it too hard. Kentucky -5.5. My only concern, and your concern as well, should be that I don't know at this point if their quarterback is playing. We saw the picture last week of his hand go like that, or basically, you didn't see his finger was dislocated and like, but it's non-throwing hand.
Oh, he's fine. He's good. He's good.
Let's see if there's any updates this morning. I'm assuming not because the line's still at 5.5. Nonetheless, South Carolina struggles to stop the ball. What is Kentucky trying to do on their offense and has the better ability to do it now that Chris Rodriguez is back? Stop the ball. Granted, this is one of those situations where it could be a semi letdown. They're at Kentucky, which is another positive, but they do have a couple look ahead games. They play Mississippi State and Tennessee coming up. So it's kind of maybe they're looking forward, and that could be a disappointment. But we're not going to think that way. We're going to think positive overall. They have beat every team they've played so far by 4 points or more. Obvious, by more than 5 points or so. Other than the loss last week to Mississippi, where we had the +7. Mississippi is a great team. They're number 9 overall. They held them to 22 points on that offense. It's really whether the quarterback is playing. I think he's going to play. He played last week. That injury happened in the first half, played all the way through it during the game. Obviously, it's a little different feel after been sitting, swelling up, yada, yada, yada. That being said, it's his non-throwing hand, and I like for Kentucky to just roll versus a weak South Carolina team. South Carolina is 3-2. Let's go over their schedule, though, real quick. 35-14 Georgia State. We know about Georgia State. That offense is bad. They lost 44-30 to Arkansas. They lost 48-7 to Georgia. They beat Charlotte. We know about Charlotte's defense. We've talked about them earlier in the year. 56-20 at home. Not impressive. And then South Carolina State, they beat them 50-10. So their 3 wins are Georgia State, Charlotte, and South Carolina State. Nothing at all to brag home about. And now they have to go on the road to Kentucky versus that defense and offense. That running game, it's just not going to look good.
Not ideal. I like Kentucky's bluegrass and their fried chicken, so this sounds like a great play, honestly.
Okay.
We got a 2-unit play coming up. 2-unit play.
Hold on. Let me just go through these. Morning, everybody. Abby, go fuck yourself and the Cyclones, respectfully. And all right, go ahead. Next up.
You ready?
Play. Go ahead.
2 units.
It's Duke
2 units.
I love this Duke team. So they come in 4-1 after a dominating win versus UVA. Very well balanced team on both sides of the ball. They rank 10th on the ground and 35th through the air. They average 35 points a game through 5 games. 35 points a game. Defensively, they had good performances. They're holding teams to 19 points per game. They gave up 35, but that was in their only loss to Kansas, which is, sounds bad, but this year's Kansas is actually good. And I really like Kansas. Not today, though. Georgia Tech on the other side had a surprising win, like emotional win versus Pitt, where they were big dogs, forced multiple turnovers in that game, and that's what kept them in the game overall. Statistically, they're awful, though. Offensively, they're in the bottom half of pretty much every category, 103rd passing, 96th in rushing, and defensively, they're even worse, ranking 108th versus the run and 119th versus the pass. If you want to play devil's advocate here, you can look at strength of schedule and know that Georgia Tech's played some good teams overall and got absolutely dominated the entire time. And Duke's played some bad teams and some good teams. But I've seen enough and we're deep enough in the season where, you can see what teams really are. I like this Duke team, even at the 3 and the hook for 2 units. I think it's just like last week when we played them versus UVA. UVA is crap. Don't let my wife hear, but so is this Georgia Tech team. I think last week was kind of a fluke situation and a lot of turnovers. Pitt's not as good as as people expected. Which I didn't expect them to be very good, losing Kenny Pickett and some of those other pieces on their offense and defense. But nonetheless, Duke -3.5. That should be enough to kind of – okay. She's showing me UVA stuff. Stop. She's going to the game.
Oh, jeez.
Um,
All right, next play. Is that it for Duke?
What? That's it for Duke.
We got
Any questions on that?
No. I mean,
Okay, fantastic.
You mean Coach K is obviously coaching, right? That's how this works.
Yeah.
No.
I'd love for him to coach the football team. Put him in.
No, we have some guys in the comments saying your 2 units are bangers. Luke, thank you.
Thanks, Luke.
They are bangers. Nick's 2 unit plays are bangers.
Last night.
We do have a system play for you coming up.
Oh, it's system play. Yeah, easy. We already know this. Did you just write Illinois under? It's Illinois versus Iowa.
It doesn't fit in the
Illinois versus Iowa under 36.5. Imagine, you know that we play Iowa unders. That offense is bad. That defense is good. Now, what if I told you they're playing a better defense than the Iowa defense? You'd be like, Nick, you're fucking crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. Just a little bit. Both teams rank their offenses. Both of them rank outside the top 25 for passing and scoring. Granted, the Illinois offense does rank 30th overall rushing the ball. But they do face the Hawkeyes, obviously, who rank 13th on rush defense. Let's throw some stats at you. Iowa gives up 10 points per game. Illinois gives up 8. Oh, God. Illinois gives up 8.4 points per game. That is number 1 in the country. Iowa is number 3 in the country. Illinois only gives up 229 yards per game so far. But this is really just a system play. Iowa's offense and that quarterback is so bad, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Watch out for the defensive touchdowns. That screwed us for Rutgers. We got it back last week. Again, this is just a system play, and especially versus a team that, number one, runs the ball and is going to try to control the clock. So that should help run down that clock and, possession as well. No fast pace on either side of the ball offensively. And then these defenses are just top 5 in the country. So it's the perfect time to bet it under. We bet it under last week. What was it? Who was it versus? Iowa versus, who did Iowa play last week? Someone remind me. Thanks, Matt.
Wow, some college team, I think it was, for sure.
Oh, yeah, they played Michigan, and that went under. So, yeah.
Now's the perfect time. I love this. I think this system play is a beauty.
It's the only way you can watch Iowa football. The only
betting the under.
Yeah. It's just like Thursday night. I love Thursday night. Everybody's complaining about Thursday night. Thursday night football was great. Just put in the under, and I sat there and just waited for the cash out. It was great. There was never a doubt whatsoever. Never a doubt whatsoever. I mean, it's just a system play.
System plays for the win. We do have another comment. This is a random question. You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
I'll do what I want. Michigan. See, a lot of people are in Michigan today, and I don't disagree, but I've already taken.
Everyone's always on Michigan.
What the fuck did I just say? Let's see. Go back. I'm trying to look up what the actual spread is.
The full game is 23. The first quarter, I got it right here. You're looking at Michigan -6, -128. A little juice, but you got a good number.
I don't mind that, yeah. As long as they come out on top. It is at Indiana. Not that it means much. Indiana's 3-2 overall. I mean, but they just lost to Nebraska by 2 scores. So I don't think this is going to be close. Their 3 wins are versus Illinois, Idaho, and Western Kentucky, and they've dropped 2 straight since. What's the first half? This is a game I was going to dive in after the
First
pod.
half
Why not?
is minus 12.5, but minus 158. So you're gonna have to find another book besides FanDuel because that's just absurd. Which means it's probably 13.5 at like minus 110. I've never seen FanDuel do that before.
Yeah, that's basically them making it unplayable. Who's going to take? I mean, I would gladly take minus 13.5, which would be 1 point up, but they're just trying to make the line unplayable at that point. I mean, maybe a parlay piece.
I'm looking right now on DraftKings. You got minus 14, minus 105.
Minus 105. 14 even?
Yeah, it seems like
that's a good play. I think Michigan hops on them early. I hate first quarter plays. So especially like 6, I think they can do it. So don't. I'm not
just if you don't get the ball first. That's my thing about
get the ball first. Teams make mistakes early. You know, especially when you're playing like an inferior opponent. Sometimes you come out and you're like, oh, we can just whoop these guys' ass. Then you kind of get
MGM 13.5.
There you go. Let me finish my statement. Thank you.
You got one more play, by the way.
No, I know. Shit, man. Oh, so sometimes these guys come out quick. I mean, you get basically you go to play an inferior team, you get punched in the mouth. It's exactly what happened last night. Nevada got punched in the mouth hard, and then they had to take the entire game to recover.
Like Jordan Poole hard.
Yeah, they did it to themselves. They just knocked themselves out hard. Not saying that's going to happen to Michigan. I don't think so at all. But they have one mistake early in the first quarter. They give up 3 points after giving up the ball. Then they have to score 2 touchdowns at that point. You know, in what? They probably have 10 minutes left. So they need a quick touchdown, the 3 and out, and another touchdown just for you to cover or a field goal. It's just one of those situations where I at least like to take the first half because those first quarters scare me, especially versus inferior opponents at home, crowd's hype. You know, they're still in it. It's close. Oh, kitty. Finally, you got a kitty. We got oh, that's a dog.
It's my dog.
Get a normal sized dog, dude. I thought that was a cat.
Turn him. You want to hear Nick talk about the last play?
Oh my God. You would own a dog like that.
All right. We got one more play.
Oh, Matt's dog licks him on the mouth like no other.
He tries to get me. We got your last play here. They make some great shoes.
Air Force minus 10.5. Revenge game here. Revenge game. Air Force, these are 2 teams going in the opposite directions, picking on bad teams, right? So they're going versus Utah State. Air Force 4-1, Utah State 1-4. Exact opposite. Air Force should be out for blood after last year. They were up 9 points in the fourth quarter, and they gave up 2 touchdowns and lost. That was versus Utah State, who was a good team at the time and eventually won their conference. That's not happening this year. They aren't good. Let me pull up some stuff. Basically, Utah averages defensively, they give up 136 yards on the ground, and Air Force rushes for over 300 yards a game. I thought about the under at 56.5, but I genuinely think that, number one, Utah can score like 10 to 14 points, and I think Air Force can put up 40. So that's my concern. It's really that Air Force might put up too many points. Really explosive. Let me delete some of these tabs and get to my notes. God, if you saw my stuff, you would think I'm crazy. Let's see.
I mean,
okay, Utah State average a margin in the first 4 games, 17 points. They lost by 17 points on average, and that was versus way inferior teams than Air Force overall. Let's see. Number 1 rushing offense in the country. going against a rushing defense that is just But along with that, Utah's pass defense is awful. So if they actually wanted to pass the ball at any point, they probably could. It wouldn't be a problem. Offensively is where Utah State is really bad. Air Force is okay overall, but rush success in the country, they're 117th, and pass success, they're 123rd. That's Utah State. Another thing as well, Utah State is 84th in tackling, which is not what you want to hear as far as, when you're facing a team that's number one in rushing overall. And then they're 110th in coverage. So it's PFF for the coverage stat there. It's just not going to go well. That offense, they average 370 yards on the ground and 6.4 yards per carry. That's what you want from, the rushing attack overall. Let's see. Boom. Oh, I completely forgot. Utah's starting quarterback done for the year. Utah State, excuse me. I keep saying Utah. It's Utah State, guys. Utah State. Done for the year. So they're playing with a backup as well. That's recent. It's just not. It's not going to go well. I love it. I'm looking for these giant blowouts. So let's do a little recap real quick, and I think you got to play too. But we'll do a recap real quick
for Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. Go ahead.
We got Wake Forest minus 16.5. Podcast exclusive play team total over 41.5.
Yes, on DK.
Or 40.5 at DK. I think it was
41. Doesn't matter honestly for me because I'm looking for that under 42 number.
Yeah. Okay. Kansas State minus 1.5.
That is the lowest on priority as far as my plays. It is basically a pick 'em. Not the best matchup for Kansas State, but I still love the team and what they're doing overall, so I'm going to take them. Kentucky minus 5.5 going up against an inferior South Carolina. Perfect time to run the ball, establish your offense, and play great defense, and then just pull away. Duke minus 3.5, 2 units versus Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech coming off an emotional win versus Pitt, where they forced some turnovers on the road. They're at home now, going against this Duke team, which is putting up points. Like I said, averaging 35 points a game, 10th on the ground, 35th through the air, and the defense is only giving up 19 points a game. So,
boom,
system play here. Number 1 and number 3 defense in the entire country, playing against top 75 or worse offenses.
And the last one,
Air Force minus 10.5, revenge game. Air Force running offense is amazing. They put up a shitload of points versus this Utah team, which is going the opposite direction. Bad on offense, bad on defense. Bad
in general.
Matt, what do you got for tomorrow? Tell us about it.
I definitely just wrote an article that I would love for you guys to check out, but I will let you guys.
We're going to allow questions after Matt goes. So, guys, stick around, and we'll try to answer and go through questions if you have them, and just start preloading them if you like. But go ahead, Matt.
All right, so let me just pull it up real quick. So, basically, it's a scary one. It is a scary one. I'll pull up the banner for it. Just type it up right now. It's the Lions at New England. Both teams are 1-3. 2 horrible teams. Looks like Mac Jones probably will not play, but either way, Bailey Zapp is his name. I think he is. I don't know where he came from, but he was picked somewhat in the draft last year. Set a bunch of school records. Didn't really play for anybody, but he debuted last week against the Packers. He looked decent. 10 for 15, like 99 yards. And he kept them in the game. They went to overtime against the Packers. That was because Brian Hoyer went down, the backup quarterback. He's on IR right now, so it is Bailey if Mac Jones can't play, which he is doubtful. He could still play, but even so, this play is in play whether he doesn't play or not. If Mac Jones plays, I like it even more. But it's more a play against the Lions defense. And the play is Patriots over 2.5 touchdowns, minus 125 on Bet365. You could find minus 135, minus 140 on other books if you have it. I still don't mind that juice. The team total is 24.5. I don't like that number. I don't think they score over 24.5 without scoring 3 touchdowns. So I'm going to take the 3 touchdowns. I don't think they score 4 field goals and only have 2 touchdowns because the Lions have allowed 4 touchdowns in week 1 to Philly, 4 touchdowns in week 2 versus the Commanders, 4 touchdowns in week 3 versus the Vikings, and 5 touchdowns versus Seattle. I know this is a poor offense in the Patriots with this quarterback, but contrary to popular belief, the Patriots actually have the best rushing offense in the league based on DVOA stats. They rush a ton. They basically run down the entire field running the ball. And the Lions just give up touchdowns. So the Lions haven't held anyone to less than 4. We only need 3. And the Lions have the worst rush defense in the entire league. So you get the best rush offense versus the worst rush defense. Belichick, I think, will find a way to win. I like the Patriots minus 3. I wouldn't take the 3.5 number, but it is still 3 on some books. Obviously, if Mac Jones plays, the line will move a little bit. So get it now. If he doesn't play, it may move a little bit in the Lions' favor. But either way, I like the Patriots over 2.5 touchdowns because the Lions just can't seem to get defensive stops when they need it. So I think we could cash this in the third quarter, maybe even the second. So
yeah, I really like that. I mean, the Lions, you saw it last week, really, and they were awful. And coming off that, they played at London last week, right?
No, that was the Vikings Saints. But if the Seahawks can score 5 touchdowns, I hope Belichick can find 3 at home. And that's the best line on Bet365 for me. And they've also given up the most rushing touchdowns in the league, the Lions. So I love it.
All right, let's answer some questions. It looks like someone's asking about upsets I like. And that kind of plays into the previous question about I know you love Utah, but do you see value in UCLA? I do. I do see value in UCLA. That's why I didn't pick the game overall. That 3, maybe if you can get the 3 in the hook, it's pretty dangerous. I don't know what to expect. I'm trying to figure out if UCLA is like what they are, as a team. Because this is a really good defense they're going to face, disciplined team and a physical team. But obviously UCLA can put up points very easily, and their defense is pretty good as well. You saw that versus Washington a little while ago. I would take, at this point, gun to the head, I would take UCLA if you can find the 3 in the hook. But I don't love it. But there are some dogs that I considered and I kind of stayed away from. Number 1, Kansas is now +8. +8. It was -6.5 for TCU. +8 is like, I'd consider that at +8. Again, I'm not taking this. That'd be a dog. I also looked at Vanderbilt +16.5. That one was interesting to me. I think they can keep relatively close, but obviously you're playing that Mississippi team, which can just blow people out as well. So it's kind of scary. Iowa +3.5. I didn't want to torture myself. I actually had Iowa +3.5, especially with that hook. I'm not going to put myself through it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And then BYU +3.5. I do like what they're doing, but they have so many injuries and so many problems on that team. Even versus a Notre Dame team that has 0 offense and good defense. I'm just staying away. But those are the dogs I was kind of looking at overall. Any other questions before we head out? I just want to make sure we answer any questions that you guys have. So let us know in the chat. Again, real quick, guys, I'm going to be taking a couple of days. It has nothing to do with gambling or sports or anything like that. I appreciate you guys and your support. I'll be back sooner than you think. but just want to let you guys know. So Louisville. I'm going to be honest. I can't even remember who Louisville's playing. Someone remind me. Louisville football versus. Oh, that's why. Yeah, it's the Virginia. So I can't bet this game. I don't even know what the line is. If someone could, Matt, can you look that up for me? That's where she just went to the UVA game. So I could have had the opportunity to actually go to that game, but I didn't want to see that. Just disgusting. I can't bet it because I'm in Virginia. Matt, let me know what the line is. I'll tell you right now, UVA's defense and offense, huge problems. UVA's offensive line is atrocious. They've been that way for years. Their coach doesn't have control of the team. Obviously, he's first-year coach. He didn't recruit anybody whatsoever, so I get it. But, like, he was screaming. Versus Duke, he was screaming at people. It was hilarious. All right, good job, Matt. Way to look up that line. I appreciate you, man. You're killing it. Louisville versus UVA. Can you look up the line? I can't even hear you.
My mic's not working. Is it working now?
It's working now.
I said +2 like 4 times. My mic wasn't working.
I'm from Charlotte. UVA is disgusting. You're right. I'm from Richmond, so I agree with you there. Louisville -1.5. Oh my God. Make that a play. Put it in there, Matt. Put it in there. I can't bet it. That's another podcast exclusive play. I did not know it was -1.5. Holy crap.
Virginia -1.5. You like it?
Is it? No, I'm seeing Louisville -1.5.
Oh, it is. It is -1.5. Yeah, Louisville -1.5.
I would take Louisville. I can't bet it. So, don't hate me. I would take Louisville. UVA has, I know Louisville's had their problems and they're 2-3 as well. And it's like, what are they doing? They lost to Boston College last week, which was pretty embarrassing. But overall, they had an embarrassing loss to Syracuse at the beginning of this season, which, people weren't expecting. But Syracuse is actually a good team. They're ranked 22nd overall. It was at Syracuse, too. They beat UCF. They kept it competitive with Florida State, blew out South Florida, which you should do, and then lost a heartbreaker to Boston College. But this is the perfect opportunity to bounce back versus a awful team. They're disgusting. They're awful. I don't know why she went to the game. She's just delusional. But, yeah, take Virginia. Well, there you go. Louisville's quarterback's out. That makes sense then as far as the line. I'd still consider Louisville, honestly. Virginia's just really bad. That makes so much sense then. Sorry, guys. Again, I haven't done any research for the Louisville game because I can't bet it. I'm in Virginia. That makes a lot of sense then because that should not be a pick 'em if Cunningham is healthy. So who's the backup? Sorry, we're going to talk about this one thing and career stats.
He's from Colorado Springs. I don't even see any.
Okay.
Brock Dahmen.
Again, this might be a game that you can live bet or look at, but if I had to pick one, it'd be Louisville -1.5. I can't bet it, so again, I'm not going to. But that makes a lot of sense as far as Louisville's quarterback being out because
he's played a couple snaps this game of this season. He was 5 for 8 with 73 yards against South Florida, and he was 1 for 8 with 19 yards against Boston College when they lost with 1 pick. So,
yeah. One last thing, someone asked about Tulsa. That's a game I looked at seriously. Overall, I believe what's the line? 5.5. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up stuff.
Tulsa's -5.5.
Yeah, -5.5. At the end of the day, I couldn't. So basically, Tulsa's on an up year overall. And I think this might be like a letdown opportunity. 5.5 is a big line. I was hoping it'd be like 3 or less, honestly, but that's just being me being super optimistic. I don't like facing these service academies where they run the ball, control the clock, try to play good defense. I just don't like if anything, I would lean Navy, but I'm not touching the game. I looked at it for a little bit, just not touching the game. I also looked at the under 45. I don't know if it's still 45, but yeah, I just don't like the game. I don't like the game, so I'm just not touching it. Sorry. If that is it, guys, I appreciate you joining me and Matt once again. We went over that Kansas State -1.5. You're welcome, Danny. You guys have a great time. Enjoy the slate today. Best of luck. Bet responsibly. And we'll see you. Well, Matt will be here tomorrow. So
I'll see you tomorrow. Bright and early. Peace.